This is Miners. This game was written in under 4 kilobytes, and it's all about mining things, so let's check it out. So this is actually written in Java, and I think I just got some gold. There we go. So I guess the object is to kind of mine out all the gold that you can as quickly as you can, but there's no real timer or anything. We're mainly going to be looking at the gameplay here and trying to figure out what we can do to enhance it and maybe make a full-fledged game out of it instead of just a 4 kilobyte game. 4 kilobyte restriction is pretty tame by today's standards. I mean, you don't need to worry too much about 4 kilobytes. I'm noticing some of the gold is spawning up top, not a big deal. But in terms of actual gameplay elements, it seems pretty simple. It seems very much like, I mean, I can literally just climb up without having to worry about there actually being anything to climb up to right now. I thought there'd be at least a little bit of, like, restrictions where you couldn't really move up unless there was some room to, or you probably couldn't move up again at all once you start moving down. So basically, the object of the game is just to get as much gold as you can for the requirements, and then move on to the next level. And actually clicking is required to continue, which is strange considering there's no other mouse controls. I would have thought it'd be spacebar or something like that. So let's discuss possibly improvements of this game, how it can be expanded on in the future and made into maybe a full-fledged game. Well, it's a pretty basic concept, and there's no real failure states in it, since you can literally just go up and down as you please and find what you need to. It's really more just a question of waiting and moving. Now, what I might recommend is maybe you have a limited amount of power on your pickaxe. Maybe you're only allowed to move so much before you know, you can't move again, and there'd be your failure state right there. You know, your pickaxe wears out and you can't continue to move. In addition, maybe there's a question of, okay, what about being able to move vertically? Well, you can't move vertically aside from down. You can't really move back up unless there's a properly set up amount of, you know, room to move. Like, you can't go flying like this, basically, is what I'm saying. You're not supposed to be allowed to do this. So, I guess this would mean right now you just move into the blocks to mine them. What this would mean is basically you'd have to set up a separate button for mining and a separate button for jumping or something like that. You know, the movement right now is all pixel by pixel. It's not really collision-based or anything like that. But with what I'm proposing, it would be collision-based, you know? Now, let's go ahead and mine out a little bit more. Now, what about maybe obstacles, you know, stuff that can get in your way? Well, maybe you can put rocks in the way, rocks that you can't mine through. Maybe that you can put fossils or something that maybe can fall down if you mine under them. Actually, you can do that with the rocks, too, actually. So, let's say you mine down here in order to get this gold, and let's pretend this gold above me was actually a rock. Well, you just completely killed yourself because that rock's going to fall down now and crush you, you know? That'd be a kill state. That'd be a failure state. That'd be pretty sweet. But right now, there's no real super challenge of this game or anything because there hasn't been one implemented. You only got 4 kilobytes to work with. That's pretty challenging. But yeah. So originally the up key was actually excluded from this game apparently, but then it was re-added for obvious reasons. I'm guessing because it was a little too challenging for some people. You could get caught. I think that it would make more sense to keep the up key out for this particular game. Like, I think it'd be a bit more challenging, but at the same time, not that much more challenging because you can still just kind of, you know, whee, and then you go back down, whee, just back and forth. So it doesn't really present much more challenge in that sense. But again, with the whole, if you add in pick durability to it or something like that, then it's very important you plan your movement because you can't just sweep across. You're going to have to find your way across as best you can, you know? Now, this was built in Java, and I don't know if this was a custom engine or AWT built into Java, apparently. There we go. Now, again, for 4 kilobytes, this game is actually pretty impressive in the sense that it does have a lot of things going for it. It's got a defined objective. It's got, you know, procedural generation. Can't complain about much more than that for 4 kilobytes. You get what you get. And it's definitely a challenge to create a game in 4 kilobytes. But if we want to look at this in a way of expanding it, in a way of making it a full-fledged game, I think it's definitely possible to turn a concept like this into a full-fledged game. But obviously you'd have to, it wouldn't be a total teardown, but it would be a pretty big change. I mean, a pretty gigantic change. Again, we'd be thinking about, do we want to add physics into it? Do we want to add kill states? What objectives do we want to coincide with this? Are there any side objectives? Maybe different treasures aside from just gold? There's a lot of things to think about with it. My mind likes to kind of wander off with games like this. A game like this is kind of a blank slate. It's very open to allowing you to do a lot of different things. So really it's a question of where do you want to take it from here? But overall, there's not much more to see. I mean, it's going to keep going. It's going to keep adding more gold in until eventually probably the whole thing will turn yellow. And, you just collect until you hit the next level and move on. Fortunately, you don't have to collect all of them. You just have to collect a certain amount. But I definitely think that this game could utilize the concept of pickaxe durability, the concept of physics, rocks, hazards, all that stuff. This game could definitely be expanded on, could definitely be much more than it is right now. But it's a good start. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Miners by Sgt. Pepper, written in 4 kilobytes and all in Java. Thank you very much.